Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is design. We're going to talk about designing your life and what would it look like if you made deliberate choices about how you were going to design your life. Good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. So good to have you here with us this morning. And everybody else who's joining us, welcome. So we're going to talk about design, particularly about designing our lives and what different choices might we make if we were cognizant of the fact that we aren't actually designing our lives, whether we're doing it deliberately or not. So it should be a fun conversation. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, all your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together and vigorously rub your hands together. Feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure. And when you stop rubbing them together, all those sensations, the tickling and the tingling, and allow yourselves to become present right here, right now, in this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And Rosalind, you've got to jump on the game this morning. We're talking about design and designing your life, and the fact that we are doing it, whether we're doing it consciously or not. So Rosalind says it can be overwhelming for the outcome we envision. Instead, we can say that what 3 things do I need to do now? Sometimes that means laundry. So, it's really interesting that you bring that up because we often get absorbed by the demands of the moment, right? We often find ourselves being called by all the urgent things or the things that we should do that are not important. So I think that I've heard things divided into 4 quadrants, which is an interesting way to think about it. One is urgent and important. Another is urgent but not important. Another is important and not urgent. And maybe it's, and the 4th is not urgent and not important. So good morning, Bernadette. Welcome, welcome. And the thing is that we tend to get overwhelmed and spend a lot of time on things that are urgent but not important. And when I say important, what I mean is important to our future, important to fulfillment of our dreams and visions. And so oftentimes the things that are really important to be able to move toward the fulfillment of our dreams and visions are things that we don't put our attention to. So I think, I had just had a blip, but Bernadette, I believe I already said hello to you, but just in case, we're going to say hello again. Welcome, welcome. It's great to have you here with us. And if you folks are wanting to make comments and join in the conversation, please go to the Enlightened World Network Facebook page or YouTube channel. And you can put your comments in there, and when I see them, I'll respond. So great to have you all here with us this morning. We're talking about designing our lives and how we do it all the time, whether we're conscious of it or not. And so what kinds of choices in these four quadrants, what kinds of choices could you maybe make differently if you were looking to be consciously designing your life? Like how would you maybe reprioritize things? So things like laundry, for example, it might be that you're at a place where it's urgent. Maybe you just uh, got down to your last pair of clean underwear, so doing the laundry has a certain urgency to it. But there are all kinds of things that we spend our time on that are neither urgent nor important. And it might be, maybe some of those things, like sometimes chilling out and watching TV or chilling out and reading a book, or that may not look like it's not urgent, and it may not look important, but maybe it is important for the gift that it gives us of relaxation and release, perhaps. So this is it's important when looking at what's urgent and important to look at what our criteria for urgent and important is. So Bernadette says, the way I determine what is important, if I question its importance, I ask, will it matter, say, next week or next year? LOL. So that's awesome in determining what's important, because important in what context? I think what we want to be looking at is important to my growth, important to the fulfillment of my dream, for instance. So Bernadette says, funny you say laundry. My clean stuff sat stagnant in the basket for a good couple weeks. Yeah, so folding laundry might not be the most important thing. And I had a friend who had mountains and mountains and mountains of laundry, and mountains of clean laundry that also didn't get processed. So very, very interesting. There's somebody ringing my doorbell, and I'm just going to let it ring because I know it's not for me. Anyway, Bernadette says, I totally dislike the putting away process. Well, it's funny, when I do the putting away process, I tend to have TV on, or you could put music on. You could make it time for relaxation. Yeah, rather than have it be a to-do. Maybe it's an opportunity to find yourself in a place of appreciating all these wonderful clothes you have to be able to put away. So Rosalind says, so urgent from the perspective, is this surfacing because of survival or self-expression, moving from defensive to expressive? That's interesting. I think, I think that we do get so caught up in our day-to-day that we don't take on a bigger perspective. We don't look at what the ramifications are of how we're spending our time. And actually, this conversation, so survival, it's like, what is essential, but most of us aren't thinking about what's essential either, let alone what's important. But in terms of survival, those things, we often get waylaid with those things too. And I see that in people in sales, for instance, or people that are in um, in financial straits, like when we're concerned about money, in terms of work, what we'll often do is double down and work harder, and force ourselves to make more calls and do whatever it is. The thing is that when we're in that mode of lack and panic, that expresses out. And so while we might think it's important to kind of double down on our work efforts, what happens is that that we dig ourselves deeper into an energetic frequency that kind of pushes those opportunities away. So the reason that I came up with this topic today is that, as I've mentioned to you, I'm intending to potentially move to Mexico and to be building an aircrete dome for my house. And so I've been looking at designing that. And there's a program called SketchUp that's a 3D design program that is great for architectural drawings and renderings and design, all that stuff. So I was thinking about designing, and I spent a bit of time over the weekend trying to learn the software, or starting to learn the software, not trying, starting to learn the software. And so the thing that I was thinking is that when we're designing our lives, we need to be paying attention to the software. Like we need to be paying attention to laying the foundation for what we're creating. That oftentimes our dreams and visions require us to take steps in that direction. They require us to learn things. Like for my move to Mexico, I am going to need to learn to speak Spanish, for instance. So, that's important. And it's not urgent, but it is very much a part of the fulfillment of my dream and the new design for my life. So what are the things that are urgent? I'm sorry, important, that you're not making time for in your life, that are going to set you up for the future that you desire. So Bernadette says, I'm so excited for you and looking forward to seeing the journey. I'm excited too, Bernadette. I think it's going to be a long journey. It's not immediate. There's a lot that gets to happen between now and when it comes to fruition. Not the least of which is learning Spanish and taking this dome building course and all kinds of things that have to happen to the land before it can fully materialize. So Rosalind says, unrelated, I just want to express I love this part of my day. Talking about different topics makes putting dishes away a breeze. Pátzcuaro, ole. Thank you, Rosalind. Pátzcuaro, for those of you who aren't aware, is the name of the city that I'm expecting to move to in Mexico. And so I love this part of my day too, Rosalind. And so maybe, Bernadette, this is a good time of day to be folding the laundry, while we're chatting. So Rosalind's putting away dishes, and you could be folding the laundry, and also engaging in in hopefully mind expanding conversation. So thank you for that, Rosalind. So appreciated. And this is a very special time of day for me as well. It is such a gift to have the opportunity to chat with you and to share ideas and new ways of thinking and new ways of being. So I invite you to be looking at the 4 quadrants, and particularly in light of the vision that you have for yourself. And so often the things that we dream of get relegated to not only the back burner, but some back shelf, right? And this is an invitation to bring those things that really are relevant to you in the ultimate desire for yourself and design for your life, to bring those things to the fore. So to be looking at what's important, and make time for what's important, even if it isn't urgent, because otherwise it might not get on your radar at all. So Bernadette says, I tend to take one moment at a time. So enjoying the freedom of relaxation, never an issue washing, folding, or ironing, just to put away. Gotcha. That's interesting. I wonder if what that is about, what the significance of that is, in terms of putting away. What does it symbolize for you that makes it such a challenge? Interesting. I don't know if you grew up with someone saying, pick up after yourself, or Bernadette says, been my entire life. So it might be like, it just came to me, and I don't know, as an intuition, I don't know if it's accurate. It's like, clean up your room. I remember being admonished to clean up my room. And so putting things away, I noticed that to this day, I often do not have things all put away. There's things everywhere. And it might be from that early time of when I was being told to clean up my room. I don't know. So I wonder if something like that is present for you too, Bernadette. Put it away. I don't know. I wonder. Anyway, so designing our lives, dreams don't necessarily manifest without our taking inspired action. And I specify inspired action rather than action for the sake of action, because when we just are taking action without alignment, it's kind of wasted energy, I think. When we take inspired action, meaning action that is coming from a space of alignment, I think that's a whole different ball game. So Rosalind says, my friend has box shelves in the dryer room, no folding. They just get put into box shelving, and maybe they end up in the dresser. That's interesting. That's interesting. I mean, the benefit for me around folding stuff is obviously not having the wrinkles. I don't know how the box shelving would work. That's interesting. Kind of a cool idea. And one thing, I'm not a big fan of ironing. So I came up with a technique that works really well for me for most things. I have a spray bottle of water, and I'll spray things with them being on a hanger, and the wrinkles just sort of fall out. It's not super crisp, like something that would be ironed would be, but the wrinkles go away. So that, and some of the materials that I wear, that they just need that dampness and the wrinkles fall out, and that makes it really easy. So anyway, what are the things that you can do in terms of I'm sorry, somebody was just spamming us and I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of them. Here we go. I think I was able to do that. Let's see. Okay, anyway, Bernadette says, I find ironing relaxing, actually. Aren't we funny people? We all have such different tastes and pleasures, things that we enjoy and things that we avoid. It's so interesting. We're all different flavors. And so let's look at a little bit more at designing our lives. So one of the things that was a really big deal for me that was transformational was looking at my schedule and making conscious decision to shift my work schedule so that in my coaching practice, I do 3 months on and 1 month off. That was such a breakthrough to even consider that approach, to even consider not working all the time and taking maybe 2 weeks vacation or something sometime, but to work 3 months on and 1 month off. And that was very much about designing my life, like looking at how do I want to live my life, and then setting myself up for success around that. And I like another decision along that line is that I really want to live a life that's more ecological, that's more sustainable, that is less destructive and ultimately less, maybe less expensive and less, more substantial, And so I've been learning about all kinds of different things to explore the options around that, and making time to follow my passions. So this is such a valuable, important thing for each of us to do, is to invest. We talked about last week, investing in our time, to invest in our dreams and our passions, and to not let laundry or dishes or any number of other things take such precedence over the dreams and visions that they get relegated to some kind of back shelf somewhere. So Bernadette says, I worked extremely hard 99% of my life to have opportunity at this time of retirement to be of choices opposed to forced. Yes, Bernadette, exactly. This is really about providing ourselves with the opportunity to choose, to have the quality of life that we really desire. And to be laying the foundation for that, just like me learning the software for SketchUp so I can design my dome home. And part of that is to be able to create it more and more and more as a reality for myself. And so to be investing in that. Yeah. So I think we get to, again, remember the quadrants and look at how you're spending most of your time. Is it in the urgent and important arena? Is it in the important but not urgent arena? Is it in the not urgent, not important, or important? And I think, I don't know if I got the last one. I couldn't keep track. Anyway, where we'd like to spend more time is the important and not urgent, probably, in terms of creating our visions and dreams. And important but not urgent for me. Yes, Bernadette. Exactly. So the dream part is usually important but not urgent. And that's really where we want to be, starting to focus more of our attention and energy. So with that, I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to check out all the other awesome programming on EWN One with the Earth, Enlightened World Living, and Enlightened World Network. And again, thank you so much for the opportunity to have these wonderful conversations. So much love to you. And I hope to see you again here really, really soon, like maybe tomorrow. Have a great day.